The video out of Syracuse shared around the world.
And he said it wasn't him.
It shows officers forcing...
He says it wasn't him, so it ain't him. Yeah, we're gonna just believe anything that people say. If anybody's seen one episode of the show Cops, I mean, there's people that have drugs stuffed up their ass. They're going, "Oh, it ain't mine. That ain't mine. I ain't know how that got there." It's like, what do you mean? It's in your ass, man. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. In this episode, we'll be reacting to a video clip here from NBC News showing an 8-year-old boy getting arrested by police for allegedly stealing a bag of Doritos. And you have the left all up in arms over this, going, "You're hurting him. You're hurting him. Oh, you're scaring him." Folks, this is not the only time these police officers have encountered this boy and his brother for allegedly stealing things. So let that play into what you're about to see. And as always, folks, if you want to support us here at the Bald Brad Show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with your friends and family all over social media. With that being said, again, this comes from NBC4. Let's go ahead and roll it.
What is y'all doing? What is y'all doing?
The video out of Syracuse shared around the world.
And he said it wasn't him.
It shows officers forcing...
He says it wasn't him, so it ain't him. Yeah, we're gonna just believe anything that people say. If anybody's seen one episode of the show Cops, I mean, there's people that have drugs stuffed up their ass. They're going, "Oh, it ain't mine. That ain't mine. I ain't know how that got there." It's like, what do you mean? It's in your ass, man. Or like they're chewing on it in their mouth and like on camera, they're seen just putting it in their own mouth. It ain't mine. I didn't put it there. It ain't it. So, we're just going to believe what everybody says here. He didn't do it. He said he ain't do it. Yeah,
an 8-year-old boy into the back of a police vehicle after reports the boy stole a bag of potato chips. But today, Syracuse police say the video doesn't tell the whole story.
They were trying to place him in the car. Simple as that.
The department releasing body camera video from the officers involved, saying they've had previous encounters with the 8-year-old and his brothers, knew where they lived, and knew them by name.
Get off your bike. Get off.
The new video showed the officers arriving, first grabbing the boy by the hood of his jacket.
Stop it.
You then hear the boy screaming as an officer pushes him down into the back seat of a police car and closes the door. Later, body camera.
This is what the left are all enraged about, because they grabbed him by the hoodie to try to get him off the bike, and then they try to get him into the police car, and they didn't want to be in the police car, and he's throwing a little hissy fit. Look, these kids are all hard until they get arrested for stealing chips or whatever they're stealing. And it wasn't just one bag of chips. It looked like he had 4 or 5 bags of chips in his hand, and that was just what was shown on camera. But look, the kid's throwing a hissy fit inside the back of the squad car. He's pushing him in there because maybe the kid didn't want to get in, which we've seen from George Floyd and others. So now you're just forcefully pushing him in there because he's not complying with police officers. And folks, again, if anybody's seen the show Cops, this shows how soft we've gotten as a society. This was shown for like a decade of kids getting arrested for doing something they shouldn't do. They throw them in the back of the police car for a little bit. They scare the kids and they say, "Hey, you know what? Your parents, your mother, father is going to go ahead and reprimand you. We're going to go ahead and let you loose." It's a scare tactic for these kids. But again, the left and progressives going, "Oh my God, they touched him. Oh my God, they're a little bit forceful with him." These officers have encountered these kids stealing and dealing with them on the streets for multiple times. So, they're probably a little frustrated. I don't care if they're grabbing him by the hood. You get the hell off your bike when the officer says get off your bike. Get in the squad car when the officer said get in your squad car. But continually, we see this from specific communities. This has nothing to do with race. We just see this from specific communities that don't want to sit there and reprimand children from neighborhoods to the community of education. We're so scared of reprimanding these children because something might happen to them. They might get all mentally messed up, as if they weren't already messed up as it is from stealing things which aren't theirs.
Camera video shows the officers taking the boy home to his father, where they spent at least 20 minutes talking, telling the father his 4 sons have repeatedly been caught stealing.
I'm happy to say hi to you boys in the street and talk, but I don't want to be tracking you down because you're stealing from people again.
Folks, this is Community Policing 101.
Yep.
Community Policing 101.
But after seeing video of the initial confrontation with police, the boy's father says the officers mistreated his son.
Oh, God.
He was screaming, yelling, leave me alone, and he couldn't leave me alone, and he tried to get out of the car, and he kept pressing him down in the car.
At a press conference,
it all makes sense now why these kids are acting the way that they are in the streets. Their father here clearly doesn't believe in some sort of parenting. Oh, they touched him. They were pushing him into the car when he's like, I don't want to be in the car. Yeah, you don't want to be in the car because you got caught doing something you shouldn't be doing, right? And then continually your kids are found stealing things and you're getting all up in arms because finally the community that's there to serve and protect the community, meaning the police officers, are now reinforcing the laws upon your kids. But again, the lack of parenting is mind-boggling nowadays, which is why you have this type of uproar going on the streets. This is why you have kids like we did on the show the other day, trying to stab teachers, literally hitting teachers, trying to fight them, abusing them all across the nation. We just did one on Clark County School District that had over 1,300 arrests and citations on students in one school year alone. Now, it wasn't specific. It was the school year this year or just starting January to where we're at now of 1,300 arrests and citations. It's a lack of parenting, folks. That's all it is.
Yesterday, Governor Hochul called the incident heart-wrenching.
Many of us are parents, and you can't help but imagine the fear in that child as he had to endure that experience.
We need to resist blaming, whether it's the family, the officers. We need to focus on learning from this.
While
we don't need to focus on blaming anybody. The officers were doing their jobs. These kids allegedly stole something. I mean, it's crazy to where we are at, again, as a society, as a milieu. And you know what? If you want kids going around your neighborhood stealing crap, this is why businesses don't want to go into certain areas. This is why they don't want to take on that risk, because you got little kids like this that are going around stealing crap, vandalizing property, doing all sorts of things. And then when the cops actually do their job, the community pushes back. Can you imagine being a cop nowadays going like, hold on a second, I'm just doing my job. I'm protecting and serving. That's what I signed on for. These kids are breaking the law. I got a report they stole a bag of chips. Turns out they have like 4 or 5 bags of chips on them. I'm trying to deal with the situation. They're not willing to get off their bike. They're not willing to communicate with me, which is why you saw that clip of the officer saying, look, I'm willing to talk with you on the streets, but they're not listening. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're breaking the law. So of course you're going to get arrested to it. We're going to travel you and take you by squad car to your parents so that they can deal with you. But the issue is the parents aren't dealing with anything. As you saw from this officer, I'm all upset the way they treated my kids. Man, if I saw an officer do that, like, you weren't aggressive enough with my kid. Okay. You know what? You shove him in that. And you know what? If he ain't going to listen, right? You bring him home. I'll make sure he listens. If he still ain't doing it, roughhouse him a little bit more. These kids need punishment, folks. Okay. They are kids. They can handle it.
Mayor of Syracuse and police want to move past the encounter. The boy's father says he wants to see consequences and training for the officers involved.
But not for your kids.
Today, they treat my son like that. Tomorrow, they would treat another child like that.
I hope they do. I hope they do. Again, I grew up on the show Cops, literally on Fox 11. I watch Cops every night, and I also watch The Simpsons, folks. That has nothing to do with this. Want you a little bit know more about me, but Cops, all the time you saw this happen, okay? This isn't that big of a deal, which is why maybe Cops should be running again. You had the left cancel the show because it's too aggressive. It was too much. Watching guys flee from the police, trying to stab police officers, it's just too much. So, I'm glad that this happened, but folks, I want to know what you think. You think the officers were a little bit too rough? I know we didn't see all the body cam footage here, but again, I want to know, do you agree with this type of behavior of what the cops did? Or do you think the cops should be reprimanded? The kids should be going off scotch-free without any sort of penalty on them? And lastly, I'm curious, what do you think of this father, folks? Do you think that he's doing his job as a parent? Make sure you like and subscribe to this video, share with your friends and family all over social media. And folks, I will see you later here on The Bob Brat Show.